Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Take. I'm Carrie Champion. Why are you laughing?
I'm just laughing.
I know why you're laughing. We're dressed alike today.
Yep,
Skip Bayless to my left.
It was planned.
It was planned.
Yep.
Stephen A. Smith to my right, virtually.
Tell us anything. Tell us anything. Tell us anything.
How's Philly, my friend?
It's always good when I'm here.
I am so excited today. We are about to debate who is the MVP of this show, Carrie or me? Carrie or me? Who you got?
Twitter call to action.
I think that's good for public consumption, just for entertainment purposes. But everybody in America knows the real answer to that question.
And he means him by that.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of MVP, on the show today, we're talking no shows. The predicted number 1 and 2 picks in the NFL draft are not attending the draft. Is something wrong with that? It hasn't happened in over 15 years, so why now? The debate is ahead. Plus, Chris Paul versus Chris Kaman. Was it a shot below the belt? Literally. We discuss it. But first, James Harden provided another MVP-type performance last night with a career high of 51 points in the 115-111 win over the Kings. Harden also tied a career high with 8 three-pointers. The Rockets are now tied with Memphis for second place in the West. Meanwhile, another candidate, you may have heard of him, Russell Westbrook, locked up his 10th triple-double of the season last night, 8th since the All-Star break, joining the likes of Grant Hill and Jason Kidd, who are the only other players to do it since the merger. So, day to day on this show, we ask who is the MVP. Some days it's Russie, some days it's Harden, some days it's Curry. Stephen A. Smith, let's start with this with you. Who do you have for MVP?
Skip, you're going to be very appalled by my answer, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. If it were up to me and I was forced to give a vote today, I got to admit to you, I'd have co-MVPs in the league with Steph Curry and James Harden. I couldn't pick one over the other. Steph Curry's the best player on the best team in the league this year. And on top of it all, there's been 16 times where he hasn't even played in the fourth quarter, and he's still averaging 23 a game and about 8 assists. He's been absolutely sensational. But in the case of James Harden, I've gotten to the point where I think it would be an absolute crime not to give this man the vote because he hasn't had Dwight Howard for most of this season. You can barely name some of the other individuals on the squad with him. This dude is one of the leading scorers in all of the NBA. He averages better than 26 a game. This dude has been carrying the Houston Rockets, and in a Western Conference that we all deem considerably tougher than the Eastern Conference. This man has Houston in position to capture the number 2 overall seed in the Western Conference, where he has virtually done it single-handedly. I don't know how anybody can definitively vote against James Harden for league MVP honors. I just can't do it. I can't vote against him. I look at Russell Westbrook. He's been a walking triple-double. He's been absolutely sensational. And even though he's propelled Oklahoma City into the playoff picture and deserves strong consideration from there, Steph Curry and James Harden haven't exactly faded from the scene. Plus, their records are considerably better in terms of their standing within the Western Conference. And on top of it all, last night is a typical example. Russell Westbrook is sensational. He puts forth a triple-double, but they lose. James Harden drops 51, and they win. And that's just what it comes down to for me. Right now, I couldn't vote one over the other because as inclined as I am to give the vote to Steph Curry because he deserves it, so does James Harden. I can't vote against James Harden right now. I just can't do it.
Even though on this show we have a rule against fence sitting, I'm going to give it to you today because I think you can sit on the fence right now because we have a whole lot of big game basketball left to be played down the stretch as my San Antonio Spurs attempt to surge all the way up to the number 2 seed in the West. And don't write them off just yet. But my point is they're about to have a whole lot of games against the Stephs and the Hardens and the Westbrooks. A lot of big stage MVP performance type games, and we'll see how everybody fares. So now I got to give my prisoner of the moment, and in this case it works. It applies because you have to be prisoner of last night's moment. My take from last night was Russell Westbrook had the late game opportunity to surge ahead in the MVP race, but he missed a corner 3 that could have tied the game late in the shootout against Dallas and Oklahoma City. And my take on James Harden last night, again without Dwight Howard, was that he was absolutely off the charts sensational against the 26-48 Sacramento Kings, and I think even you, Stephen A., would agree with me. They aren't exactly battling for their playoff lives. They probably have at least one eye on off-season vacation plans at this point. I'm just guessing on that. So now, Steph last night had the night off. So again, he's out of sight, out of mind. And I appreciate you including him in your co-MVP because I think he deserves that much credit at this point. But he is about to play pretty big stage games, interesting games at Dallas, and then Sunday night at San Antonio. Let's see what kind of show Steph puts on. Because, again, back to Westbrook last night, it was very interesting what happened at the end of the game. Russell Westbrook missed a three-point shot, ran down his own rebound, which is just mind-blowing to me, as he registered yet again another triple-double. What's he have now? 8 since the All-Star break? 10 total. Rarefied air he's in. Russell Westbrook then takes the ball to the other three-point line in the corner and pulls a classic Russell Westbrook. He goes straight up and shot it from 3. At that point, he was 2 out of 10 from 3, Stephen A. And in the fourth quarter, he was at that point 0 for 4 and obviously proceeded to become 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter. Anthony Morrow, who was 6 out of 9 from 3, just crazy hot in that shootout, is basically like on the wing waving for the basketball. And Russell said, nope, I'm going to shoot this. Is that ego? Is that Russell trying to win another MVP like the All-Star MVP? Or is it just Russell saying, no, I'm the leader of this team. I'm going to take the big shot. However you want to slice it, I'm not going to condemn him for it because I admire Russell for having the guts to say, nope, I'm going to shoot this shot. And he missed it. If it goes in, we're leading the show with this, right? We're talking Russell Westbrook over James Harden, I think, because it was a hellacious shootout. Won finally by Chandler Parsons with a fall-away jump shot. Go ahead.
Couple of things. Number one, I didn't think Morrow was open. There was somebody in position to intercept the pass in the event that he got
I don't know, intercept, but he might have been. There was somebody closing.
Well, you got to remember. You got to remember where Russell Westbrook was initially. He was at the top of the key. Morrow was to his right. He had a defender next to him. He wouldn't have made that pass. Then when he missed the shot and got the rebound, he was on the opposite side of the court, so he certainly couldn't make that pass. But let me go back to the point about comparisons between a James Harden and a Russell Westbrook. Skip, they're both averaging 27.6 a game. Yep. Identical. James Harden shooting 44% from the field. Russell Westbrook shooting 42% from the field. James Harden is shooting 37% from 3. Russell Westbrook is shooting 29% from three-point range. James Harden shooting 86% from the free throw line. Russell Westbrook shooting 84% from the free throw line. You look at all of those stats, they're all in James Harden's favor with the exception of assists, and he's averaging about 1 less assist per game. But again, he's not playing with Dwight Howard, just like Russell Westbrook hasn't been playing with Kevin Durant, and he's got them in position to be the number 2 overall seed in the Western Conference. As much as I love me some Russell Westbrook, and boy does he deserve the consideration that he has gotten, I cannot give him the edge over James Harden. The MVP race, barring something where the scales just tip because we got some big games coming up and we just see somebody just nosedive and somebody that elevates even more. Barring that, as of today, this is a 2-horse race between James Harden and Steph Curry for league MVP honors. I don't think there's any question about it anymore.
Okay, are we slightly overreacting to James Harden's night last night? I was flipping back and forth between the two games. He was being guarded at various times by Ben McLemore, Stauskas, McCallum. Really? I mean, shouldn't he have put up maybe 55? But maybe we're underselling him.
That's you. I'm not going by the 51 points. I'm going by the fact that they're in position to capture the number 2 overall seed. Okay. With James Harden leading the way. That's what I'm looking at. I gave those stats. Those stats that I just gave ain't for one game. They're for the season.
Okay. I think you just talked so loudly our lights went out. You just blew the bulbs.
See, the lights are dark over Skip.
I'm a little shady over here on the left side, and I'm not that tan, actually.
How was I talking loudly? Well, first of all, they cut the lights out because without me, why have bright lights on?
You knew.
I mean, why do they need bright lights on? I mean, come on, man.
He's still in full shine on his face,
amazing.
and I'm over here in the shadows.
The bright lights need to be aimed at me. You are the patriarch of the show.
Yeah.
But the bright lights need to be where they are.
You just sabotaged my lights, but that's okay because the show must go on, and I'm going to keep talking here because I'm going to finish this up.
You're talking basketball.
Yes.
The lights always mess up when you're talking basketball. Catch the hit.
Here's my final basketball point. Here's what I want to drive home.
Go ahead.
James Harden has upcoming games at Dallas, then on Sunday at Russell Westbrook. I'll be watching that. I think a lot of us will be. Then James Harden has games on April 8th and 10th against my San Antonio Spurs. Not back-to-back. There's a day in between. One in San Antonio, skip a day. One in Houston. Those are big games, big stages. Let's see how he does because Russell Westbrook finishes at Memphis. Then the game I just talked about, Houston at home. Then San Antonio at home and in Oklahoma City against Russell. And then Portland against Russell at home. These are big games that we can sit back and say, hey, I think the MVP race, and this is a beautiful thing because we have 3 rising superstars who have not really been in MVP races before. And what a great battle this is going to be to the wire. I think it's just getting started.
Well, Stephen A. says something special has to happen in order for him to divert from his 2 co-MVPs. You think it's just getting started?
Yep.
All right. Did you see that line? Death, taxes, Spurs in the postseason? Those are all the things that are for sure to happen?
Some unbelievable number of, what is it, in a row? 18 in a row, and it's something like, I don't know what it is, 34 out of 35 or...
Your boys.
Yeah, they're back.
They're back. All right, so let's stay with the NBA, shall we?